sorry. Go Sage.
Out about 6 flat.
Okay. See it, Les Contamines. $2,300 runners.
Les 4 Espagnols qui tenaient la tête de ce classement provisoire, on a vu Xavier Thévenard, Sage Canaday et Eric Lavery, 7ème, c'est le dernier concurrent qu'on a vu passer à l'entrée de ce point de ravitaillement. Il était en premier, Xavier Thévenard qui a bien envie de s'imposer évidemment sur cette course qu'il a remportée en 2013, alors qu'on a Pascal qui nous rejoint. Pascal J.
Hi there, Sage Canaday of Vo2max Productions here, and it's August 31st, 2015, 2 days after the UTMB 100, and assuming most of you probably know by now that I did not finish the race. I had to withdraw pretty early at about mile 55, and it was a tough DNF for me. I really wanted to finish, and it wasn't really a DNF that I had a choice on, but I'll get into the blow-by-blow details in a bit here. First off, big congratulations to all the finishers, all the runners and participants, and everyone's supportive comments reaching out to me on social media here on YouTube, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A lot of kind words and messages that I've received, and I haven't gotten back to everyone yet, but I did see all of them, so I really do appreciate your support and just reaching out to me in this kind of tough time, I guess. It's not too bad, but we'll see how my knee is in a couple weeks. Then maybe I'll make a decision on that. But and you know, big congrats to the champion Xavier, who won the men's race UTMB, as well as Natalie, who also won the women's race, and the CCC runners, TBS runners, and all PTL, all the other races this weekend. Amazing American performances by Dave Laney, third podium for the US UTMB, as well as Seth Swanson, our buddy Rocky Mountain Runners, Ryan Smith, who's got 9th in the UTMB, as well as top women finishers, Darcy Africa coming off a Hard Rock 100, that's a tough double, as well as Stephanie Howe, who gutted it out to the finish even after lying down in an aid station, I think, for another top 10 finish for the US. But really inspiring to see all the other runners out there, and the people, even the last finisher coming in yesterday at the 46-hour mark, as well as all the spectators and fans out on the course. It was a great event, great weather, maybe a little on the hot side even for most of the runners. But I'll get into my race real quick, kind of just a post-race recap, so you guys kind of know what went down, at least from kind of my twisted perspective. Race was really fast from the start. I knew it would be. It wasn't as fast as Comrades, but it was a 100-mile race in the mountains, and only the first half mile was kind of uncomfortable, but I got out to get out of the crowds, and then on the street I probably split about 5:50, 6 minutes for the first mile on the road, and I was maybe in 20th place or so. The leaders were right in front though. They were off 100 meters in front. The guys that finished 1-2, Xavier and Luis Alberto, as well as top contenders Tofo, Miguel Heras, some other guys were up there as well, but I kind of sat back, slowly slowed down to 7-minute mile pace on the trail down to Les Ouches. By the first climb up from Les Ouches to Saint-Gervais, I caught them on the climb hill, and that was kind of the lead pack that I wanted to stay with. I felt really good. was drinking quite a bit because it was warm, but basically everything was going to plan. In the lead pack, we had a good pack of like 6 or 7 guys there through the first 20 miles, running a pretty reasonable pace, I thought. And I was taking my V-Fuel gels every 20 to 30 minutes. I was hydrating really well. I was starting to take some bananas and orange slices at the aid stations, as well as some solid food, some bread and cheese sandwiches. And I saw my crew station at Saint Gervais, or Les Contamines, I guess, at 20 miles into the race. Right when it was getting dark, we were turning on our headlamps there. Rolled through that aid station, and my dad was crewing for me there, and Sandy and my mom were filming. Hopefully we get some film clips from that in Les Contamines. But yeah, it was right in contention, right in the lead pack. We were all together, the top 5 or 6 guys, and I felt really good. I was using my trekking poles quite a bit, and then there was a big climb. Biggest climb on the course actually is right there. You could see I got my elevation, or I don't know what these stats are, but elevation profile of the race. I still haven't washed it off yet. It's a big climb out of Les Contamines, the biggest climb on the course, and it was pretty rocky and technical, and it was in the dark. They had bonfires, you know, on the side of the course, and people cheering, and I was using my trekking poles, climbing pretty well, and you know, guys are making bathroom stops and, you know, whatnot, but my stomach was rock solid. I felt great, and definitely it was pretty intense on the climbs, I'd say, especially Xavier, the guy who won. He was leading basically from the wire. Super strong, super impressive. We all know Luis Alberto is probably the best climber in ultra running, mountain ultra running that I've ever raced against, and we're all using trekking poles basically. Maybe that wasn't the best idea for me. I'm still debating whether or not I'd come back and use trekking poles or not. But I could tell it makes you breathe a little harder because you're using your arms so much. Maybe I should have power hiked it. I don't know. But I felt good. I felt really good, and we ran through the night. 20 miles later, near the 39 to 40 mile mark, it started getting really cold and windy. And we were climbing up on a part of the course that I knew. I think it was, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Col de la Sige. It's S-E-I-G-N-E. One of the higher points on the course in the mountains, and it was cold and windy, so I stopped to put on my jacket. I had to pull it out of my Ultimate Direction pack, tuck the poles, and the top 4 guys got away from me. I think we were whittled down to 4 guys there. Xavier, Luis, Miguel, and Tofo were ahead of me, and so I lost about a minute on them, but I was like, you know, it's okay. I'm gonna take this descent. Pretty slow descent into, there's another climb before Courmayeur, and then the descent into Courmayeur at the halfway point. I really wanted to take slow because I heard that you still want to save your legs on the downhills. You're only halfway into the race. And I was really looking forward to getting a peanut butter, almond butter jam sandwich from Sandy in Courmayeur. I was already planning out my crew pit stops, so to speak. But yeah, I stopped to put on my jacket. I could feel a little stiffness in my legs, I'm not gonna lie. I was thinking like, God, these guys are really, really tough, and we had this huge gap behind us. And so I'm running down this little hill, and ironically it was this most beautiful part on the course that I'd filmed. You can pull up the clip on my training run from Courmayeur there. Just a little downhill, not technical at all. We'd already gone through some more technical rocks. Nice curving trail, and I'm coming up near the bottom of this little tiny downhill. And I'm all alone because the guys are a minute ahead of me, and I'm looking up at the full moon. It's beautiful. Mount Blanc, you could see the outline of the glaciers on the backside there, and I kind of glance up to my left, kind of behind my shoulder, because I'm like, I wonder if, like, you know, I figured it was maybe Seth Swanson or someone was following us, and I was looked up back up the mountain to see the spotlights coming down the hill because I thought that was really cool. That was a mistake. Before I knew it, my left foot hit this pretty big rock, just totally caught on the rock, and before I knew it, I was supermaning forward, flying through there. I felt my right leg kick back as my right knee hit another big rock. These weren't like rocks that moved, these were like really big rocks that were kind of on the side of the trail. And so my right knee hit that real hard, and then I tumbled down the hill more, and I was on my elbows and basically squirming around in pain on the trail after tumbling. And I knew right away that I hit my right knee really hard. You could just tell, like some falls, a lot of times I usually don't fall a whole lot, but in training or races, sometimes you fall and you skin yourself up and then you kind of laugh it off, or you kind of twist your ankle and you hobble around and then you keep going. This was one of those falls where you know instantly that you're kind of in trouble. I have fallen during ultras. I should say the first ultra I did, chucking up 50K, I fell in the last mile when I was racing Jason Schlarb. After Max King and I got lost for a mile, I fell and I cut my leg open on a similar rock. It was actually my other knee and it was right below the patellar tendon. That required 4 stitches, and I knew right away when I hit that was bad, but that was in the last mile of a 50K, whereas this was mile 40 of a 100+ mile mountain race in the middle of the night. It was probably about midnight or 1 a.m. when I did it. I'd like to think that I fell because it was dark out, but I think I probably would have fallen anyway because I'm kind of clumsy. But it was really lame part of the trail, hit a big rock. As soon as I shined my spotlight on my knee and saw the blood kind of gushing out, I knew also that it would require stitches, just in my experience of getting stitches, because I've had stitches about 4 times in my life, and I could tell when a cut's big enough that it's gonna need stitches, and this was definitely one of those. So the blood's gushing out into my compressed sport calf sleeve, and I'm like, crap, like I'm losing blood, my knee really freaking hurts, I'm like hobbling, because it was a direct blow to the knee joint, and that ended up being the main problem actually. And so I'm hobbling up in the dark, and this is where the course goes off on a really technical section where they added this extra climb. And so I'm hobbling on the rocks using my trekking poles. I'm all pissed off and I'm like upset, in a lot of pain, I guess. And so I'm basically just walking at that point, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to get help at the next aid station because I'm screwed. And eventually, after a while, Seth Swanson comes by and he offers to help, and he says, "You need any bandages?" And I'm like, oh, I had to pack this. Part of our mandatory gear was to have 2 meters of elastic bandages in our pack, 2 meters by 6 centimeters of a adhesive medical band. And I was like, no, I'm actually fine. I got this in my bag. So I whipped that thing out and I wrapped it around my knee with a little Band-Aid to try to stop the bleeding. It wasn't bleeding horribly, but like it really hurt, and so I wrapped it. But after that technical downhill, like I was just hobbling, walking down. The next aid station, they looked at it and they're like, "Oh, you're definitely gonna need stitches when you get to Courmayeur." I was up in the mountains still. They were very helpful on the Italian side, but they said, "Yeah, we'll clean it out, wrap it up more." So I was in that aid station for maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I knew my race was probably pretty much shot, at least my competitive race. And so I even saw Megan Hicks of Iron Far like a mile after that in the middle of the trail, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna drop out at Courmayeur, like, because I need stitches, and like I can't run anymore. So it's still like 10 miles to Courmayeur. So I go up this pass and I'm like, well, I kind of got a second wind. I was like, I'm moving pretty well on these uphills. I can still power hike with my trekking poles on the uphill, but on the downhills, like the steep downhill to Courmayeur, it's a smooth, steep trail, but if you can't hobble it or run it, you're not moving fast down it. And I was like going down sideways, really painfully slow, walking, and all these guys are just blowing by me. So I finally get to Courmayeur, I don't know, 2 or 3 in the morning, and I see Sandy there, and we get me right into medical, and I'm thinking, this is where my race ends, this is it. The doctor sees me there, they're really nice and efficient, and he, puts in a painkiller shot and then starts stitching me up. And I don't think I'm kind of squeamish with needles, but I don't think the painkiller shot really kicked in before he put the stitches in, because he started stitching it up, and those stitches really hurt actually. But only 3 stitches. It's not a big wide cut, it's a little puncture wound. And he's like, if I stitch them up, you could still move on it, you could still continue the race. Is that what you want to do? And I kind of had to decide at that point if I wanted to keep going, and I decided that I was going to keep going eventually. And maybe that was a bad idea, I don't know. I really wanted to finish. I just, it didn't matter what place I was going to get at that point. It didn't matter how long it was going to take. I really wanted to cover the whole course and do 100 miles. And I knew my competitive race was over because I spent like 15 minutes just sitting in that aid station, and I was barely moving. So I got all amped up. I had some painkillers. I was all wrapped up, stitched up, ready to go. Got my trekking poles out, ran out of it was a limp run, out of the Courmayeur aid station on pavement. got a pretty good climb up to the next aid station at Bertone. I was taking antibiotics as well. They gave me on antibiotics, which made me nauseous, but that didn't really matter because after hiking uphill to Bertone, I made it to that aid station. You kind of crest the hill, it starts going down, and it's a smooth single track. And as soon as I hit that smooth downhill, I realized that I wasn't gonna move down the hill anymore. My knee joint was totally like in pain, inflamed, locked up. I still might have to get an x-ray on my knee joint actually when I get back to the States, because it was a direct blow to the kneecap, and it wasn't the stitches or the cut that was the problem. It's the fact that the integrity of my knee joint was basically shot, and I started like hobbling down the hill at a half mile an hour, and I was like, you can't even go downhill anymore. I was going faster just walking uphill, and there's a lot of downhill left. There's still about, I don't know, 12 or 13,000 feet probably of downhill left on the course, and 50 miles. And at that point I realized that not finishing, it wasn't even a choice, it wasn't an option. So I don't feel bad about the DNF. I really wanted to see the course in Switzerland, and I really wanted to get the points so I could come back here next year, but I don't know if that's a possibility now because I didn't finish. But I saw a lot of people after that along the way, and I actually turned around and I realized I needed help. It was beautiful, the sun was about to rise, but I went back to the Bertone aid station and I got medical help. I saw another doctor. They kept rewrapping the wound. They gave me more painkillers. My knee joint is really inflamed and hurts, basically. And yeah, so from there I was gonna hike down, and they were gonna have some people go with me down back to Courmayeur. It was only 3 miles, but maybe 3,000 feet of downhill. And we started hiking like 100 meters, and they're just like, you're not gonna make it. And I was like, yeah, it's not, I can't go downhill at all. Like I really, it would have taken me maybe 4 hours. I could have maybe rolled down the hill, but it was rocky, and there, any steps, I just couldn't bend the knee, and I lost all support, even with my poles out. So what ended up happening, and all the volunteers and the nurses there were super nice. They're super friendly. They kept me warm with a blanket. They sat me down. They fed me cake. Really, really friendly organization and support staff. And the race organization actually got hold of my parents somehow. I didn't even turn on my international cell phone yet in the mountains, but my parents didn't have one, but they were able to contact them in Courmayeur and say, Sage is coming back. So it really thankful for the whole UTMB race organization and all the volunteers and the medical personnel that helped me. But what happened is they called a helicopter up, and the helicopter came up, landed on the mountain. It's pretty awesome. Flew me straight back down to Courmayeur. It took like 2 minutes. Never been in a helicopter. Sweet ride. And from there I was able to reunite with Sandy and my family. So it turned out okay, but it was disappointing, and I really just wish I could have finished, but I didn't have a choice. So other times if you bonk or you are nauseous, you get stomach GI distress, or you're puking, or you totally blow a gasket, sometimes you could regroup, you could eat some food, lie down in an aid station, take a nap for a couple hours, and then get a second wind and just go. Unfortunately, that was not the case for me. I was out, and even if the competition, you want to place well, you want to run a good time, but when it comes down to the goal of just finishing, that would have been nice, but I had to abandon that goal, and I never got to see the course in Switzerland. So it's gonna be hard to be able to come back next year if I'm not qualified. Still have to look into it. I don't know what my next step will be. If the integrity of the knee joint's compromised, I don't know how soon I could get back to running. Right now I could barely walk, hobble around town. So we'll see. I get the stitches out in another week or so, and I'm amped up on antibiotics for now, so it hopefully doesn't get infected. But yeah, that's kind of the story, and this is really long and long-winded, but I really do appreciate all the supportive comments and all the feedback coming in. I know I really want to do well in ultra running, and I really want to do 100 miles, but I just don't know how soon that'll be now to finish 100 miles. And right now I'm really amped up to get out there and start racing again, but I don't know with my health and the knee joint. We'll just have to see. So I'll probably know in about a week whether or not I'll be able to start running again pretty soon. So It could be worse. I got the gift of being able to train out here for 4 weeks in one of the most beautiful places in the world, on some of the most beautiful trails in the world, mountain trails, and meet tons of wonderful people. So it's not a total loss. The race didn't go as planned at all. It was kind of a total disaster, but the cut could have been worse. I could have broken my leg totally. I could have fallen off a cliff and died. That's life. Things like this happen, and you have to learn to work through the adversity and appreciate the good things. And the process of training for the race really was the gift. Being out here before the race was the gift for me, and spending time with Sandy and my parents and all the friends, the running community, and everyone I've met along the way. Actually, I'll do a shout out to Thomas here. He gave me this awesome set of beers from Germany. Thanks, Thomas. Great selection of beers. There were more in there. I already drank one last night. It was excellent. So just wonderful gifts. You guys are awesome. All the comments on here, I really appreciate. And yeah, I hope your running's going well this summer. And thanks for all those that were following the race, and congrats to all the runners and all the finishers. Really impressive performances on a grueling mountain course. But you gotta press on. Yeah, sometimes you gotta work through these adversities. So I feel very fortunate and very lucky to still be in this position, even though my race didn't go the way I wanted it to. But that's life. So thank you again. I know this is a really long-winded vlog video, but I really do appreciate all the encouragement, supportive comments. You guys are great. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more Vo2max Productions.